Hello and welcome to another painting video. In this video, I'll be painting one of the original Space Marine Legions gone heretic, the Night Lords. I'll be using this color scheme for my new Chaos Space Marine kill team. A covert specialist kill team would be the perfect environment for the Night Lords in my opinion. This was also a test in using the airbrush and streaking grime, so let's begin, shall we? Let's tackle the main area first, which is the armor. I first add a black primer to the model. Almost as a zenithal highlight, I spray Night Lord's Blue on most of the model, leaving the black primer in all but the shadowy parts. I repeat the process with Kantor Blue. Unfortunately, I lost this footage, so here's a still from the result instead. The third color I'm airbrushing is Alaitoc Blue. Note that with this color, I just tried to hit the uppermost parts of the model and where the light would normally hit if it were coming from above. This will make a gradient with the previous colors. The last airbrush step is with Lothern Blue. This color I truly keep on only the highlighted parts. Now to switch back to the brush. I use Lothern Blue to create some clearer highlights on the armor. I use a mix of edge highlighting and adding volume to larger areas. I do the same with a mix of Lothern Blue and Blue Horror. The armor is a bit too bright for my taste, so I watered down Night Lord's Blue with loads of Lahmian Medium and shaded the armor. I painted the inner armor suit with black Templar. And highlighted with Dawnstone. Now when I did my test model, I wasn't very happy with the results in this step. It looks too much like an ultramarine at the moment and way too clean. But he is going to look proper chaos and grimdark once we are finished, so let's continue. I use Balthasar Gold to paint all the brass trimming. If you, like me, hit the airbrushed areas, no worries. You can fix it with Kantor Blue or leave it because the model will be dirtied up later on. I use Agrax Earthshade to shade the brass. I apply it thickly. With Mournfang Steel, I highlight the brass. I mainly hit the areas that are adjacent to the highlighted parts of the blue armor. But I also look for the darker areas where there would be some reflection. Okay, he looks a lot less like an ultramarine already. The new Chaos Space Marine models have loads of trimming, but after painting the Red Harvest scenery, this is peanuts compared to that. Let's paint on some bat wings. You might have noticed the helmet is not standard issue. I use the Nosferatu heads from Puppets War as they look awesome and have proper bat wings. I paint these with Khorne Red. Then I shade the wings with Nuln Oil. I come back with Khorne Red to highlight. And I add two more highlights. The first one is Evil Sunz Scarlet. And the second one is Wild Rider Red. All the pouches and belts are painted with Mournfang Brown. I shade the pouches with Carroburg Crimson. and I use Agrax Earthshade to shade all the belts. Then I use two highlights. The first one is Scrag Brown. And the second highlight is Deathclaw Brown. By using a different shade, you add a subtle variation on what could have been a big brown blob. Especially this particular model has a lot on his belt. I use Iron Warriors to paint all the metal parts. I shade everything with Agrax Earthshade and highlight it with Mournfang Steel. You can't have a Night Lord model without some flayed human skin hanging from his armor like a trophy. I paint the skin with Rakarth Flesh. Then I stipple on Guilliman Flesh. This acts as a shade, but by stippling you create a texture and really makes it look like dirty flayed skin with dry blood on it. I came back with Rakarth Flesh to add some highlights and break up the previous shade a little bit. I use Palette Switch Flesh as a highlight. I'm using this color very sparingly. Finally, I add Blood for the Blood God on both the skin and the blades. There is something really macabre about having skin as trophies on the armor. Probably why the Night Lords are one of my favorite legions. In the next step, I'm going to make them look a little bit more scary. This helmet is a little bit smaller than a regular Chaos Space Marine, and there is no real focus on it at the moment. I paint the faceplate with Celestra Grey. Then I highlight with Lothern Grey, creating something like a skull mask which immediately puts more focus on the face. Now for some grimdark magic. I apply streaking grime over most of the model. Then with a cotton swab and white spirit, I dab away the streaking grime to reveal the underlying layers again. This way, the streaking grime will only remain in the recesses and really dirty of the armor. The rocky base, which I made with tree bark, is painted with Xandri dust. I use Reikland Fleshshade to shade the entire base. With a dry brush of Xandri dust, I highlight the rock where applicable. And I end with a dry brush of Karak Stone. Finally, I paint the rim with Steel Legion Drab. And here we have a Chaos Space Marine from the Night Lord's Legion, ready to flay some enemies and kill team. This was my first try using the airbrush other than just priming, and I must say I'm happy with the result. The streaking grime was needed to make this a proper Chaos Space Marine. The airbrush made the armor look a little bit too clean and bright for my taste. As for the streaking grime, I'll be using this a lot more as it works wonders. I did make the mistake of not allowing the grime to dry before applying the white spirit, so some parts got a little bit messy. Which other Chaos Legions would you like to see me paint? Should I try to paint all the canon ones? Let me know in the comments. But for now, thanks for watching.